right, the first order of business is the approval of the agenda. So move. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. That motion passes. I need a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes for September 3rd, 2015.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no.
Abstain.
Anyone abstain? You have one abstention. All right, we do have a couple of patron comments tonight, so I'd like to read this before we start. At every regularly scheduled board meeting, any patron of the Rockwood School District may make a statement or address the board concerning issues pertaining to the Rockwood School District. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. In practice, if a large group is represented by a spokesperson or persons, we'll allow that group 5 minutes to make their presentation. To address the board, please complete a blue comment card prior to the start of the board meeting and give it to a communications department staff member. Patrons will be called to the lectern by the board president to make comments. The board values and appreciates you taking time to make your comments. In general, the practice of the board is not to respond to your comments at this time, except to ask for a clarification if needed. If appropriate, the district will provide a written response within a reasonable period of time. Please note that matters related to employee negotiations, legal issues, real estate, personnel, and student matters are reserved for the board discussion during closed session. If a number of people are speaking on the same issue, we ask you to please try not to simply repeat the comments from previous speakers. All right, we have two, and I don't think these are in any particular order. Courtney Dean, care to come up and speak?
Good evening. Thank you very much for your service. Our district emphasizes that its elementary class sizes are below the state standard. The class sizes my children at Wild Horse Elementary are experiencing this year are well over the state's desirable standards, and in particular, my daughter in first grade at Wild Horse has a class size that exceeds the Rockwood standard. There are a few areas of concern I'd like to highlight and questions I'd like to pose to the board regarding the policies in place to manage class sizes. First, the policy around creating a new grade level section when the student body exceeds the district standard. Particularly at the early grade levels, the benefits of maintaining class sizes within the standard for the full school year would seem to me to outweigh the costs, non-financial, of creating a new section, even if that coincided with the start of the school year. A short-term disruption at the beginning of the year would be replaced with much more desirable classroom sizes for the full year for the students and the teachers. Next, when the decision is made to not create a new section, though the grade level population warrants it, what is done to address the challenge? First grade's a critical year for students to gain language arts skills, and the amount of time of the curriculum devoted to that proves it. Small group instruction is an important component of that curriculum, especially given Rockwood's objective of early intervention. That instruction is surely hindered with large class sizes in excess of the standard. The teacher is faced with the choice of instructing each student every day in larger groups or maintaining more desirable smaller groups, yet not seeing each student every day. And that's not consistent with what's put forth as the Rockwood advantage. An additional consideration which may apply particularly to Wild Horse among the district's 19 elementary schools is the diversity of our student population. The growth and diversity at our school is embraced by many of us as it brings so many advantages to the school environment. But it does create greater challenges in classroom instruction, particularly at the early grade levels. And this further reinforces the need for classroom environments that allow for personalized attention. Given the significant financial resources not spent on creating a new section at the beginning of the year, why are those resources not more fully allocated to add direct classroom assistance? To date, thus far, I understand one TA has been approved for this grade level at Wild Horse, which adds approximately 1.5 hours per day per section. And that does not meaningfully assist in addressing the challenges of instructing these classes that are by Rockwood standard too large. It seems to me additional TAs in the classroom during the approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes of language arts instruction are warranted, are they not? While there may be an agreement to disagree about the correct course of action when a grade level student population exceeds the standard, it seems there's lots of room for agreement on the resources to be allocated to address that for the rest of the year. And I thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Can I ask a couple clarifying questions? How many children are in your child's classroom?
In the first grade, her class size is 24.
24. Is there an aide in that?
There is, my understanding, one TA that is dedicated to the 4 first grade sections.
And what is the limit as you understand from the policy?
My understanding is the Rockwood standard is 23.
State standard is 25.
Okay, thank you.
One more question. There was, the majority of it was, that was addressed with class size, and then there was a section on diversity. What were you trying to address there?
Our school, the diverse population of our school means that in my daughter's first grade class, my understanding is over 20% of the students qualify for ESOL services, which I believe speaks to the point of greater demands on instruction in language arts in the classroom.
Are all four, were there four first graders, four first grade classrooms?
Yes, sir.
Are all 4 at 24?
My understanding is, as of last week, 2 are at 24 and 2 are at 23 each.
Thank you.
All right, we have one more patron comment. Hope I don't get this wrong. It looks like it says Ron Muse. All right, please come up, John.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Rockwood School District for giving us an opportunity to present concerns or questions that we have amongst the community. I also want to thank you for the police escort. I'm not sure why they came after me, but I appreciate it. I just would like to give a quick background. I've been a citizen of West County for over 50 years. Grew up in the Rockwood School District, educated in the Rockwood School District. My children were educated in the Rockwood School District, actually graduated from Eureka High School. I had pulled off the Eureka High School, or the Rockwood School District website. Dr. Nost, it says, a sincere desire to lead the Rockwood School District in a way to further solidify the community partnership and unite us in a mission to help all kids thrive in the world. As we go down through the superintendent's 5 goals, it lists realizing the potential of student learning, highly effective staff, school climate, district finance and government, and accountability at all levels. It was brought to my attention as a longtime taxpayer and have a close relationship at Eureka High School with not only the students but the parents, that when the 2015 Eureka High School Yearbook was issued, it brought a lot of disturbance amongst some people. I had contacted the interim principal, Mr. Grother, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and asked him if he could explain the cover of the 2015 Eureka High School Yearbook. He went on and said that the yearbook was based on a video produced in 2007 by Carl Fish, who's an educator of 20 years at Arapahoe High School in Littleton, Colorado. Mr. Fish's point of the video was to bring out the education system in the United States that is not preparing students for jobs that will be created in the future, and the U.S. education system instead preparing students for jobs that will not exist in 10 years. I responded to Mr. Crowther and I said, I'm not sure what that has to do with Eureka High School. If you're not familiar with the cover of the high school yearbook for 2015, it is a very dark color. It says shift happens. It's a play on words of S-H-I happens. And in the center of the yearbook is a square, if you will, of a multicolored rainbow. So I was a little taken back about the shift happens and how that relates to Eureka High School in general. The question I have is, if a yearbook is reviewed by the high school, what are the criteria for this? Who decides the criteria on how that is produced? I was told that it was up to the students. They have a right to free speech, and it's the students and the teachers decide on that. So I asked the school board in the future if they have not looked at the Eureka High School yearbooks or any high school yearbooks, that they would at least relate to the topic of the high school itself, instead of relating to a general feeling of the world as it presented to themselves today of a video that was produced in 2007, which has no relevance to the high school whatsoever. When I asked about the rainbow colors, he really didn't have a good answer. But from my opinion, it seems like we're all in this political correctness mode, and we're trying to be morally correct. I think the overtone was, obviously, it was sexually immoral comment that was being made. There were a lot of rumors that were put out there regarding why this was produced and how it was produced and who signed off on it. So in the future, I would encourage the board to make sure that they're crossing their I's and dotting their T's, because I can tell you this has caused a fracture in the community. I thank you for your time.
The next item on the agenda is the superintendent and board comments. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Jones.
A couple of things. The nice thing about having the superintendent's comments directly after patron comments, even though it's not customary for the board to interact, and we did tonight, but to interact with speakers, that it allows me to make some comments. And I do want to make just a few regarding Mrs. Dean. We've had some email back and forth conversation, and I've assured her that we don't, and I don't want to speak for the board, but I think that I can in this regard. We don't disagree with the interest in as low of class sizes we can possibly have. We know that that's a great way to affect student achievement. The only disagreement, probably from an educator standpoint, has to do with the timing of when we create extra sections. We do a lot of professional development with our teachers over the year, over the summer, to prepare them for a brand new year. There's a lot of planning that goes on with scheduling with kids and specials and so on and so forth. Adding, and I've been through this many times in my career as an administrator, sometimes we've added classes last minute, and a lot of times it's to the detriment of the students and not to the help of the students. I did want to point out, as we kind of clarified through Dr. Kinner's comments, I'm very proud of the Rockwood School District. I've worked in the past in school districts that stay in line with the state standards. We have our own standards for class sizes, and they're lower. In K through 2, for instance, the state says we can have 25 children in class. The state says that if we go beyond that by 5 students, we can go up to 30 by adding a part-time TA. We don't go anywhere near that process that the state prescribes. So our K2 classes, we shoot for 23. That's the standard that we try for, and when we go beyond that, we add a TA. Throughout the summer months, though, up until that cutoff, we would add another section, but we want to make sure that the teachers can be prepared, like all the other teachers, to teach our curriculum, and we don't want those kids to be at a disadvantage. So we're going to have some further discussion. Again, we agree on far more than we disagree on. So we're happy with that. And we also, Mrs. Dean is a valuable volunteer at Wildwood and very involved and with the school and the life of the school, so we appreciate that. The only comment I want to make about the yearbook is I just want to assure the community that we are aware of that, and I can tell you that the one thing that is definitely correct, stated by the speaker, a lot of people had concerns about that. I can promise you I answered every phone call and email that came to me. We dealt with that. We worked through that. Mr. Cruther, who is the current principal, was not the administrator there last year. He's worked through that, and just to make sure the community knows that it wasn't something that was ignored. We heard their concerns and we have worked through that. On to a few announcements. Just recently we found out that 2 Missouri high school graduates from our district were recently named the 2015 Missouri AP Scholars by the College Board for their performance on advanced placement exams. Matthew Chan from Baldwin, who attended Marquette High School, and Lydia Fletcher from Fenton, who attended Rockwood Summit High School. This award recognizes students who have earned the most scores of 3 or higher on a 5-point scale, with an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken. Two winners from each state and the District of Columbia are honored annually. Obviously, goes without saying, the 2 winners were from the Rockwood School District, so congratulations to Matthew and Lydia. The Rockwood School District continues to set a high academic bar in St. Louis region and the state of Missouri for the second year in a row. The average ACT composite score increased in Rockwood. The class of 2015 had an average score of 23.8. Rockwood scored higher than the Missouri average of 21.7 and the national average of 21. Speaking of the ACT, Eureka High School senior Nick Stalter, I don't know if that's supposed to be Statler, but it's spelled here as Nick Stalter, recently scored a perfect 36. Doesn't happen very often. Nick has been very active in band, imagine that. I'm telling you, it's the key to everything. He's active in band all 4 years and is taking a rigorous course load this year. Congrats to Nick, we're really, really proud of him. Schools across Rockwood honored Patriot Day last week. Schools wore red, white, and blue, held breakfast and lunches for first responders, and had special speakers at their schools. We want to thank all the first responders that work inside our district, some of them here tonight, and around our school district and in our community. You obviously help keep our schools safe, and we really, really appreciate that partnership that we have with you. 26 Rockwood students have been named semifinalists for the 2016 National Merit Scholarship Program. 26 Rockwood students. That is absolutely fabulous. These students represent the top 1% of high-achieving students in the nation. 26 semifinalists in the Rockwood School District. And only 4 Missouri high school seniors are being honored by the Better Business Bureau for demonstrating high ethics through leadership, community service, personal integrity, and academic achievement. Eureka High School senior Christopher Barnett is one of those students. As a winner of the BBB's Student of Ethics Award, he will receive $2,500 as a college scholarship. So congratulations, Christopher. One just reminder, we're having a really, really good response to our kid superintendent promotion. And just to remind you, you've heard of Kid President. This is all for fun, folks. This is not anything that has any rationale behind it other than to better connect our kids with me and with the school district and community. And we're just looking for a kid to be the first ever, I think, anywhere. We've got some national attention on this actually in social media. Actually, Kid President was tweeting at us about Kid Superintendent. So the videos are coming in. It's very, very popular. And every time I'm in a school, kids are talking to me, they're telling me that they are pretty sure they're going to be the Kid Superintendent. So the only problem we have now, Kathy, is we got to figure out how we're going to vet these, because we're getting some quality stuff in.
Like that suddenly became your problem?
Yeah. She's great help in all this, so thank you for that. And finally, before I turn it back over to our president, as a lifelong educator, there's nothing more exciting when you find out that one of your children are going to be educators. And my daughter, who's here tonight, Kaylin, wave Kaylin. Kaylin is going to college to be an educator. So she's here on assignment tonight to observe our board meeting. So I just asked my staff and the board to please don't change her mind. Let's be on our best behavior tonight, so we keep her in the field of being an educator. So thrilled to have her here, and everybody welcome her.
Welcome.
That's all.
Any other board comments?
She's like,
I have something.
Matt?
I know we usually talk about the test scores and what have you of the high school kids, but I have something personally I would like to share. I think it's phenomenal. My son, Isaac, he's a multiracial little boy, and both of my children are extremely intelligent, and that's not just me saying that. They are.
They are.
He skipped the first grade math. He's in the first grade. He skipped first grade math. He's in second grade math. And we just got his test results back I know a lot of people don't like testing. I do, because it shows proof of your hard work, my personal opinion. He scored 97% better than all of the second graders throughout the nation. And I think that's exceptional. So just want to say, I know we always talk about the high school children and what have you, but little ones are doing big things too. So.
You'll be a high school student before you know.
Oh, no. I'll start crying up here.
I'm assuming also that young man that scored a 36 in Eureka and is in the band, he must have played drums, is that right?
I don't know that for sure, but there's probably a pretty good chance.
Good chance. Also on the AP Scholars, we had the two from Missouri were from Rockwood. That's not the first time that's happened. I remember at least, I think, 2 other times in my long history with Rockwood that happened many times. At least one is from Rockwood, and I think 2 other times, both of them were from Rockwood. So that is outstanding. Take that, you other districts.
Any other board comments? I guess I'd just add the one, unfortunately I didn't find out about it till today, but Rockwood Summit is the second high school in Missouri to have its own radio station. It is at 92.7. The dedication is tomorrow, and unfortunately I'm going to be out of town. But I think that's a really neat thing for the school, a really fun thing. It's an 89-watt transmitter, so it'll cover all of that. And on a good day, put some aluminum foil on your antenna and get it here. But I think it's a fabulous thing going on. And Rockwood Summit has continued to do other things like the alternative fuel and other things. Very innovative schooling down there. So my hat's off to them. All right, any other comments? Let's move on to the consent agenda items. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
So moved. Second.
And a second. Any discussion? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. All right, that motion passes. We'll move on to the regular agenda items. The first one is a proclamation of Drug-Free Coalition Week. So I need a motion to proclaim September 27th through October 3rd of 2015 as the 6th annual observance of the Rockwood School District Drug-Free Coalition Week.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Oh, we have it says Renee.
Renee's coming up. And as Renee's coming up, I'm going to make a few comments. We are so fortunate in the Rockwood School District to have such an outstanding drug-free coalition. Award-winning. It's been recognized by the state in the past, and if you've ever, and I'll say it this way, if you have not attended one of our drug coalition meetings, you really should, because they are just fabulous. The conversation that goes on there is so productive. Kids are involved, the community is involved, our law enforcement is involved, we have parents, we have current employees, former employees. It's just a great group talking about really important stuff, and we just have to remember, even a wonderful school district like the Rockwood School District, there are going to be issues with drugs and underage drinking in our teen population, and we just have to address those things. We can never get soft on our approach, and we have a coalition that's doing that. Sometimes I don't think we give them a lot enough voice, but they keep moving along, and Renee does great work, and I won't go into talking about your transition, because that's not what we're here about tonight, but Renee will be leaving us soon, and we're going to miss her very much. But let's stay focused on the proclamation tonight. Thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you, Dr. Knost, and thank you, board members, for your incredible support this past year and everything up until this point in time and the months to come. And you did steal most of my talking points tonight, Dr. Knost,
sorry.
because that's what
I'm noted for that.
And it's okay, because what you said was spot on. But this proclamation means a lot to us, to recognize the work that we're doing, and it's hard to believe that it's been just a year ago that I was here. The timing of this is very relevant because it ties in with not only National Substance Abuse Prevention Month, but also National Medicine Abuse Awareness Month. It connects with our high school safe celebration initiatives that we do over homecoming, also our medication take-back events we do in the fall and the spring, and then finally we're getting geared up for Red Ribbon Week activities, and that's, as you know, a big part of the prevention push across all grade levels. So really appreciate the recognition this time of year. As you know, everything we do is geared to help youth in our community, to promote healthy and safe lifestyles so that kids can thrive. So some of the coalition members who are here with me tonight have been doing prevention work in the district longer than some of our 12th graders have been in the district. So I've got at least 2 or 3 back there who were engaged in this work long before I became involved. And I became involved when my children were in middle school and high school. And I just wanted to stay one step ahead of them before they reach those high school years. So that concern as a parent trying to learn more came into this position. But so many of the people that drive our work are just volunteers who are really committed. And the power of our coalition is derived from its members. And we have a lot of them from all the different community sectors tonight. So we have representatives, if I turn around I won't get the microphone, but we have representatives from Baldwin, Ellisville, Eureka, and Wildwood Police Departments. We have parents and students that couldn't come tonight but planned on being here who formed chapters around prevention work. Healthcare providers, business owners, civic leaders. You'll see Todd Minicello in the back. He's Rockwood's new coordinator of guidance and counseling. Looking very much forward to working closely with him in the year ahead. One of Rockwood's high school principals is a member of our board, and she's very active in helping us with strategic planning and also doing the nitty-gritty work of reaching students and families. And then we have Dr. Terry Harris here, who knows what we do and why we do it, and he's going to help us do a better job in the year ahead of doing it in Rockwood. I just want to lastly share with you that our efforts are contributing to positive measurable outcomes. Fewer youth are engaging in underage drinking compared to several years ago. Fewer youth are reporting using marijuana and smoking, and the rate of prescription medication misuse has stayed steady, and it is relatively low. Nevertheless, e-cigarettes, all this talk of legalized marijuana and synthetic drugs, and the constant barrage of alcohol advertising that is geared specifically toward kids contributes continued threats. So our work isn't done, and we appreciate the district's support in helping us reach kids and families. So thank you very much for the recognition.
Thank you. I think Ms. Mommy is going to read the proclamation for us.
Rockwood Drug-Free Coalition provides leadership, education, and resources to prevent and address substance abuse among youth. Collaboration between the coalition, Rockwood School District, and many community partners ensures success with community prevention programs, protecting Rockwood students so that they can thrive. Whereas by equipping youth to make healthy choices for their futures, and whereas by providing parents with information and support to guide their children in decision-making and enhancing their lives, and whereas by encouraging neighborhoods to give young people a voice and opportunities for involvement within their own communities, and whereas by collaborating with community leaders to foster prevention efforts with a common goal of helping our young people remain drug and alcohol free, and whereas October is National Substance Abuse Prevention Month, now therefore we, the Rockwood School District Board of Education, do hereby proclaim September 27th through October 3rd, 2015 as the 6th annual observance of Rockwood Drug-Free Coalition Week.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Renee, I want... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Your drug take-back programs. Interestingly enough, I was at the pharmacy the other day, and my daughter had pneumonia. And the lady next to me came and was asking the pharmacist. She had what's that? What is that?
Hydrocodone?
Oh no, Oxy, yeah. And the pharmacist said, "Oh well, you know, you could get some big money for that on the street." And I was standing there with my
and she was
kid.
right, but
She was right, but it was strange to hear two adults
and
having
did they
that
have
conversation.
our medication flyers right
Well, I was
there?
wondering if you had anything at the local pharmacies.
We asked
because-
all the pharmacies to, we asked for the big ask, would you staple the flyer to your medication bags when it's a
never
prescription
received
opiate? And many of them can't do that, but they leave them there or leave them for people who are picking up prescriptions. All of our volunteers back there, that's what we do, run all over the community and deliver these flyers so that they can get in the hands of people who get the prescription meds. But that's shocking to hear somebody say that.
It was.
I assume it was a joke, but it's not fun.
I'm assuming, but I'm not sure.
So most, Walgreens, CVS, and most of them do offer our flyers several weeks before the events.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Kinney?
Renee, you caught us off guard by saying you're going to be leaving us, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you take the time to either introduce the police officers or have them introduce themselves and where they're from, plus your volunteers that are here tonight? I'd like to see who they are, please.
That's very nice of you. Thank you for asking. Would each of you, let's start this corner. Jen, would you start and we'll go around?
Jen Burgess, Eureka Police Department. Any volunteers also this work?
Janelle, all members of our Brad Lindland with the County Police Department, Senate City Development.
I'm worried about you understand I'm a parent volunteer.
Sure.
Christy Dizzy, parent volunteer.
Susan Lazario, OEM hours in the school. Nancy Benson, former parent volunteer.
Earl Mark, volunteer.
Angie Soltsack, Medco's urgent care.
Oh. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, the motion on the floor is to approve that proclamation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. The next item is the proclamation of National School Lunch Week. I don't know if we have anybody that's speaking on it. So I need a motion to approve the proclamation designating October 12th through the 16th as National School Lunch Week.
So moved.
A motion? Second.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Canos, members of cabinet. Thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about National School Lunch Week. We'll be celebrating National School Lunch Week October 12th to the 16th this year, and the theme is School Lunch Snapshot. It's all about sharing the best images of our school lunches today. School lunches are healthier than ever, and we offer more fruits and vegetables, a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, less fat, lower sodium items. The National School Lunch Week helps us educate parents and students about all the benefits of our lunch program and then the appealing choices that we offer to our students. Last year, we served over 1.5 million lunches to the students in Rockwood. We're doing some exciting things this school year. We're offering Taste Test Tuesdays, where we're going to highlight fresh fruits and vegetables like edamame, some other seasonal fruits and vegetables for the children to try. And then we've customized a new menu for the high schools, like a Wrap Wednesday. So we had that yesterday for the first time, where we do customized wraps for the entire group. Usually we have one line. And we're introducing more ethnic dishes, and we're having fun contests as well. Today I had the pleasure of handing out some contest tickets, concert tickets for some students who entered to win for our breakfast program. So the federally funded National School Lunch Program provides nutritionally based healthy meals to students every day. The program, which has been serving the nation's children for over 60 years, requires school meals to meet federal nutrition standards, like offering the fruits and vegetables every day, serving whole grains, rich foods, and limiting calories and sodium. So I would invite you all to join us at lunch or breakfast any day of the week at any of our locations. So, and I appreciate you taking the time to recognize National School Lunch Week.
Before you read the proclamation with Carmen here, I just want to say, obviously, when I go around in schools, I try really hard to visit the cafeterias as well, and a lot of times I'm at schools for long periods of time, so I'm usually there over lunch. And I'm just always so impressed with how dedicated our workers are in the kitchen, and this is something important too. I think you can all relate to this from our own experiences, how kind and friendly they are to the children, and they really feel they're part of the mission to help kids thrive, and you can tell that they take their job seriously. But most importantly, what I wanted to point out is that I have never in my life heard kids talk more positively about school lunch food than they do these days. Parents as well. And you know, there's a stigma to that we've been trying to overcome for years. But I think many years ago, there's good reason for that. But just a compliment to you and the entire staff. They do great work, and just really appreciate them viewing themselves and knowing that we view them as part of the mission of helping kids thrive.
It's what we love.
Any other board members have any questions or comments? Very good. All right, I think Director Bays is going to read this for us.
National School Lunch Week, official proclamation. Whereas the National School Lunch Program has served our nation admirably for over 60 years through advanced practices in nutrition education, and whereas the National School Lunch Program is dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children, and whereas the National School Lunch Program has been joined through the years by many other excellent child feeding programs, and there is evidence of continued need for nutrition education and awareness of the value of school nutrition programs. Now therefore, we, the Board of Education of the Rockwood School District, do hereby proclaim the week of October 12 to 16, 2015 as National School Lunch Week. And I encourage all residents to become aware and concerned about their children's and their own nutrition habits in hope of achieving a more healthful citizenry for today and the future.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? All right, the motion is to approve the proclamation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Ms. Peter, that passes. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen.
The next item is a resolution for the establishment of Disability History and Awareness Month, and I think Dr. Brown, actually, I'm not coming up.
Actually, I'm Jamie Smith, and I'm the coordinator
Jamie Smith, okay.
of Special Education 504 and Homebound Services for Rockwood. So each September, I have the opportunity to come before the board and ask that you approve the resolution for honoring October as the Disability History and Awareness Month. Tonight, following the resolution, we have Dr. Brown, as well as Kristen Clemens talking to us about early childhood special education programs and the full early childhood program, as well as followed by Dr. Bender and Dr. Westbury from Special School District, where they are going to highlight the partnership we have with Special School District to serve the students in Rockwood that have special education needs. October is the opportunity for Rockwood to recognize and honor individuals with disabilities. We have activities in the month of October as well as throughout the entire school year that recognize individuals with disabilities. And so this resolution is our opportunity to start that recognition.
Any questions or comments? Yeah, I get to read this one. The resolution designating the month of October of every year as Disability History and Awareness Month and encouraging our schools to provide instruction on disability history, people with disabilities, and the disabilities rights movement. Whereas there are approximately 126,000 students with disabilities educated by Missouri Public Schools, and whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 is founded on 4 principles: inclusion, full participation, economic self-sufficiency, and equality of opportunity for all people with disabilities. And whereas a key method of promoting these 4 principles is for our schools to recognize the contributions of people with disabilities to our society and provide instruction in disability history, people with disabilities, and disability rights movement through school curriculum, school assemblies, and other school activities. And now therefore be it resolved by the school board of the Rockwood School District that the board urges our schools to provide intensive instruction on disability history, people with disabilities, and the disability rights movement, especially during the month of October, and periodically throughout the school year, and encourages other institutions to contact and promote educational activities on those subjects.
We need a motion.
Do we have a motion? Oh, we did not have a motion. All right.
So moved.
Right, we have a motion to approve. And need a second?
Second.
Second. All right, sorry, did a little out of order. All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the recognition of the month of October. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right, next is a presentation on the special school district update. I know that that's a slight change in the previously set agenda, but we're going to do all the items. We're just going to do this one next. So I think we have Dr. Westbury here to talk to us about the special school district.
Did anybody go over
And we
there?
do not need a motion. This is informational.
Did anybody from the board go over there? I looked the invitation up about an hour after that quarter. And I driven by it early in the day, about 2 o'clock.
Welcome, Dr. Westbury. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure to always visit with you all and share with you some of the good things that are taking place in this district. Every year when I've had the pleasure of visiting with you all, I've usually started my comments by saying that we talk about a partnership in St. Louis County between the special district and all of the other districts, 22 general ed districts, including, of course, includes Rockwood. And when you look at what has taken place and what I'm going to try to outline for you in terms of major events, major issues, there's no question that Rockwood stands out there like a real leader in terms of the partnership and the working together with special and the things that are done on behalf of the students and youngsters who live and go to school in Rockwood. It's the way it should be. And so I salute you again for the outstanding efforts that you all put in, from the board right on down through the administration, and also in the classrooms throughout all of your schools. Before I begin with that, I'd just like to add one thing that came up during the course of the earlier comments by Superintendent Nost. I share your feeling about your daughter going to school and wanting to teach. Both of mine did. And believe me, it makes you feel good. So she'll do well, I'm sure. And I want to share that with you.
Appreciate the blessing.
Sir?
I appreciate the blessing.
Yeah, right. As a matter of fact, one of my youngsters, my oldest, taught in Rockwood. So.
And is still involved.
And still involved, that's right. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. In one of the resolutions, they talked about 120 some odd thousand youngsters in Missouri are in special ed or have disabilities. Rockwood has 3,005. That's 3,005 today in school that are receiving different kinds of service from the special district in your schools. We come to your schools. And when you look at 3,005 enrollment, active enrollment, that's bigger than some districts in St. Louis County. Can't name them right off, but I'm familiar with them enough to know that 3,000 is a number that some of the other districts you can't reach. Going on, one of the things that helps me, it makes it possible for me to visit with you all, is the information that is brought to my attention and given to me by several members of the staff. Next to me is Jenny Bender, who is an area coordinator for Rockwood. She's an SSD person, but she spends most of her time in Rockwood. And over here is Jamie Smith, who does the same kind of thing in Rockwood. So without these two ladies, I either wouldn't be sitting here or I wouldn't have too much to say because they know where the action is. Okay, let's talk about the action. Rockwood has included all special education staff in their school-based 4E intruder drill training so that they can effectively support all students. Care was taken to include special education staff shared between buildings as well. Another step, another collaborative. Rockwood included in their curricular materials budget for high school social studies resources to make sure that special educators as well as general educators had the same instructional material to make sure they could provide Rockwood instruction with fidelity. We're talking books as well as the teacher training. Moving on, Rockwood has included in their curricular materials books and training budget for elementary English language arts resources. That's the resources, the books and the training, to make sure that special educators as well as general educators had the same instructional materials to make sure that they could provide Rockwood instruction with fidelity. Another item, Rockwood has created 2 additional trainings for special educators to provide them with the information they needed to implement the Rockwood Elementary English Language Arts curriculum with fidelity. The trainings were designed for teachers who provide the core instruction in this content area, as well as for teachers who support with review and reteaching the core instruction provided for their students in the general ed classroom. Another area is not in the classroom, but this is one that has a lot of support for the appropriate students. Once again, Eureka High School is sponsoring Friday Night Lights, that's what it's called, an opportunity for the Rockwood student athletes to support Rockwood students with special needs in a football tournament. Schools in the Eureka quadrant are encouraged to sign their students with special needs. Sign them up for this event, and Eureka High pairs them with Eureka High School students for maximum success and fun. September 25th is the date. We are currently enrolled at 30 students are enrolled. And last, Rockwood as well as Special District want the feedback of their parents and families. Rockwood collaborated with Special District by reviewing all Special District surveys prior to creating their own survey to capture the voice of parents of students accessing services through either an IEP or a 504 plan. Both districts look forward to receiving and analyzing and acting on the feedback of Rockwood families. So those are the major areas. There's other things that go on. There's the day-to-day instruction that the youngsters get from the Special District people who are here. And we know how many that is?
It's between 460 and 470. Most of the staff are full-time within Rockwood, nowhere else. We do have 37 related service staff who we do share with other districts like music therapists, occupational therapists.
Yeah. Jamie, you have anything to add?
I don't. Overall, we have about 3,800 students with disabilities. 3,000 are on IEPs, approximately 300 504s, and then we'll hear more about early childhood, which is roughly around 500 students. So we have a large population of students that we're supporting each and every day to thrive in the Rockwood district.
If I could add, Dr. Westbury talked about our survey, and I think that's such an important piece because we have decided to do that just upon our own to get some feedback and trying to make our partnership that much better and the service that we bring to our students and the parents of our students. And I know that Jenny and Jamie and Jane worked hard with Glenn Hancock on putting together, I think, a very valid survey that asks some really direct questions to our parents, and we too are looking forward to the feedback so we can just continue to get better at what we do.
Very good. Anyone have any particular question on any of these items? Again, I thank you for the time you spent and to share with you some of the things. You should feel good about your kids because they're doing well and they're getting good service. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is a presentation, an overview of early childhood special education program, and now we're going to see Dr. Campbell. Again, this is an information item, so we do not need a motion.
The table's too crowded to come up with everyone.
Right.
But obviously, I have the privilege of working with a lot of very talented staff in special education, K through 12, and then early childhood. So here with me today is 6-year veteran of the Rockwood School District, Kristen Clements, and she is what's called our process coordinator. So she ensures that we're following the letter of the law and compliance as we serve the kids in early childhood, which is students ages 3, 4, and 5, yet not in kindergarten. So I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to tell you a little bit about that.
Thank you for having me this evening and for letting me share about what I have a deep passion for, and that's young children with special needs. I'm a parent of a child with special needs and a foster parent of another child with special needs, and I believe deeply in early intervention, and I'm blessed to have landed in the position that I am, working for the Rockwood School District. I'd love for you to get to know our program better, so I put together a little slideshow. In 1983, Rockwood started a tuition-based preschool, and in 2002, special education started to become under the management of the Rockwood School District. Previously, it was under the special school district, but for the last 13 years, Rockwood has managed that on its own. We had, last year, 138 staff working for the Rockwood Early Childhood Special Education Department. And there's a slide a little bit later on that'll let you see what most of those folks do. We are located in 12 locations throughout the district. So we have the special privilege of getting to touch base with a lot of staff around the district. The location hub is basically next door at Clarkson Valley, but we have a secondary office location at Vandover. We're in 6 elementaries and 4 high schools beyond that with our early childhood program. So a lot of traveling and getting to see a lot of classrooms, which, yes, I do a lot of compliance work, but my favorite part is sitting on the floor and playing with the kids, which I got to do this morning for a good hour and a half, and it's the best part of my job. That's little Bella. She's a child of one of the social workers in our program. One of the things that is most remarkable about early childhood special education is that 4 years ago we had 350 referrals coming in, and what a referral is there's a concern, somebody calls me or it comes to me from one of the sources that we'll talk about in a minute, and then we go through an evaluation process to see if children are eligible. The year after that, it was 402, then 413, then 462. So we've had an incline in referrals. Our biggest charge is child find and making sure that we locate children that need assistance through early childhood special education. And the community has come alongside us in that charge, and we're identifying students very well. This point last year, we had 81 referrals by September 17th. This year we have 92. So the trend continues on up, just like it does with students in program. When I started, we were around 360 students in program in 2010. We increased, as you can see, pretty consistently to last year 533 students in program in those locations and in locations around the district that we would travel into and perhaps provide itinerant therapies where we just drop by, do some speech and language therapy, pull back out, and leave the students in their least restrictive environment of their child care or daycare centers. So referrals come to us from a lot of places. They all come through me somehow, so I get to touch base with every single child or parent that comes through our program for services. Missouri First Steps is a birth to 3 program, and I get the special blessing of going into the homes of parents and families who have children with pretty significant disabilities. And I get to be the first person that gets to talk to them about their children and their experience that they're going to have in Rockwood. So I consider that a high honor and a blessing to get to do that pretty much every day. We get referrals through screening, and our screening department works feverishly to make sure to get thousands of screenings in per year so that they can send through those few that might need a little additional assistance, and we begin the evaluation process through them. Our parent educators work very hard in the homes of families as well, and they make referrals and build that strong rapport for families that may not know that their child has a delay or disability. So they do very important frontline work to get students to us. Parents call us and have an inkling that something may need assistance with their child, and so I get a lot of phone calls and I get to talk parents through situations. The most difficult phone call is the one where parents have just left the pediatrician, and the pediatrician has said, you know, I think you need to make this call, and they don't know what to do. So I really am touched by those families as they call in and are seeking help. And then our teachers. We have classrooms throughout the district, as I said, and students show up in our doors that may pay tuition to attend our programs, and our teachers are highly trained to look at child development specifically and make referrals based upon students and their needs as they show up. So our staff in early childhood special education alone consists of 21 special instructors. 2 of those travel throughout the district and the other 19 are classrooms. We have 14 speech and language pathologists, several travel, and many are also located in the buildings. We have a variety of therapists and facilitators that provide pretty much any specific need that a child may have, including nurses, social workers, vision therapists, behavioral analysts, which has been an increasing need, nutritionists, music therapists, you name it. Whatever a child needs to be successful, we meet them right there.
So that's our program in a nutshell. I welcome you to come along and take a tour. I'll bring you into anything that you would like to see as to what we're doing, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I have a comment. And I think the audience knows, I know the ones on the board know this, but your program, the Total Early Childhood Program, is a recognizable, and you get a lot of people within the state call you about your program.
Yes, sir.
It's known throughout the state, but it's also known throughout the nation. You get calls from the nation. Our program is like a model for other schools. I don't know how many calls you've gotten over the years, but I'm sure it's a tremendous number. People wanting to come and visit and see our program so they can emulate it. Now, that's a credit to the total program, and so I appreciate that. And I hope the audience understands that. I hope our press will write about that. Mary?
Calls and move in. We have many families who move into our school district.
That's
to
true.
receive those services.
Yes, you do.
And specifically, we'll state that we're coming to you because we hear about what you do. Our staff is really involved in professional development around the state as well. So we get them involved and make sure that we get to share the great things that we're doing and be that model and example. Thank you.
And just real quick, if I could just say, first of all, thank you, Kristen, and appreciate your presentation and the input and the work that you do. And I echo what Dr. Kinder said. It's just a phenomenal program. You know that when you're there, whether it's in a satellite classroom or in one of our buildings, it's just a phenomenal program. Also want to take it seems like just a short while ago, Jane was sitting over here as part of my cabinet, and we were really excited to have her become the executive director over early childhood. She's doing phenomenal work, and I've heard nothing but good things, Jane. Thank you for your hard work, and I think that just coincides with the outstanding program that we have. Good leadership equals good things. So thank you for your leadership, and Kristen, thank you for yours as well.
It's actually a privilege to continue to also have the K-12, so that is a great way that we can bridge and work together, so that's awesome. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. The next two items on the agenda, I think Dr. Revelay is going to join us.
A partner with me, so Larry Watzek is going to join me. Yeah.
The first one is, we don't need a motion, it's information only, but it's a update on the PIN and policies for non-discrimination.
Excellent. Well, good evening, Mr. Dole and members of the board, Dr. Knost. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the PIN that you approved for on the May 28th board meeting regarding our employment policies and non-discrimination. So I reviewed multiple policies, and they're listed in the board agenda item, but I did take a look at multiple policies to confirm that sexual orientation, perceived sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression are protected. And in my research, although they are not expressly listed, those are also not specifically listed in Title IX or Title VII, but they are protected in our employment policies. So although the gender expression isn't expressly listed, you can see the regulation that's up here. Our policy reads that the district prohibits unlawful discrimination and harassment based on, and sex is one of those protected classes. So at this time, I would recommend that there are no changes to our policies. We've also had a legal review, and Larry Watzek is here with me to share his findings.
I'm not going to restate what Dr. Revelay stated. She said it pretty well, but basically, if your policy prohibits sex discrimination, the courts and the administrative agencies that interpret through case law and decisions from the administrative agencies interpret Title IX and Title VII, they've made it very clear that sex discrimination has been extended to protect gender discrimination. So the language that, first of all, we don't think your policy needs any change to be legally adequate. It's legally adequate if it prohibits sex discrimination. We did recommend to Dr. Revelay for the administration to consider amending the regulation to make it absolutely crystal clear that gender discrimination would be included. So there's no doubt.
And that's what you say.
Yeah, I'd like to just add that that's very consistent with what we did previously on a PIN review, that the students showed up and brought forth and Director Paul, you had some input with a pin as well on that. And we ended up making adjustments in our regulations to show the district's commitment to make sure that those things are considered and all kids are protected. So it's just similar in how we're handling this policy through the recommendation from our legal counsel with that policy as well.
Right, it's a very similar approach.
And what you see in front of you is the red line version of that regulation that I hope to bring to Cabinet for approval.
What's Title 7? I've missed that somewhere along the line. I know 9, but what is 7? Basically, you're talking about Title 9 and Title 7.
It protects certain classes, including sex discrimination in employment context. Where Title 9 is the school setting. Sure. If you receive federal funding, Title 9 is limited just to sex discrimination.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All right, let's move on to the next one. I think it's same presentation. This one is specifically a PIN that was put in place for Regulation 4320.
Okay, so hi again. So this is a PIN that was back in April, and this was unique. As you recall, this was a regulation that we took a look at of our certified teacher and an administrator and non-certified administrator sick leave review. And when I reviewed the PIN, I confirmed that our sick leave policy treats pregnancy-related medical conditions the same as all other medical conditions. So that was the first question that was a part of the PIN that came forward. So in examining our sick leave process, medical conditions, whether it's a pregnancy-related medical condition or another type of medical condition, we treat all of those the same. Teachers are provided 10 sick days annually that can be accumulated, and those sick days can be accumulated every year. They roll into an accumulated teacher sick leave for their own personal sick leave. So at this time, we also had Larry Watzek from our attorney take a look at it, and I'll let him share his findings.
Again, we're recommending that no changes are necessary to Regulation 4320. It's legally sufficient. We looked at the Pregnancy and Discrimination Act, and it requires that pregnancy-related temporary disabilities or absences from work have to be treated the same as all other temporary disabilities or absences from work. And the law is very clear. An employer cannot treat pregnancy-related illnesses less favorably. But the law also is clear. The cases will back me up that the pregnancy-related illnesses do not have to be treated more favorably. So they have to be treated the same, and that's what Rockwood does.
So again, we already covered. It doesn't need to be treated any differently. So
No recommended changes to policy, and this was specifically a regulation.
Any other questions, discussion? All right. Well, thank you very much for the hard work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Next agenda item, if our CFO, Mr. Penny, would join us, is a bond issue purchases and related contracts between $7,500 and $150,000. I do need a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts $7,500 and $150,000 as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
We've got two items for you tonight. The first one is civil engineering design consultants. This is for the work that they're doing in preparation for the specifications at the Eureka High School, a weight room and locker room for $8,500. That includes $7,450 for the engineering services plus $1,000 or $1,050 for reimbursables that will be returned if they don't actually spend that. So if they actually pay some of our permits, then we'll reimburse them out of that amount of money.
When is this scheduled to begin? It's not until like the end of the school year, right?
We're going to actually, we'll be letting the bids for that pretty soon. We're just finishing up on the design, and we're hoping that construction will start after the football season's over. So we'll be building structures outside, and then we'll be kind of transitioning them we'll move. Either we'll move students in there or over the summer we will be doing the renovations to the existing locker rooms. So we're trying to get a head start so we'll be done by the end of summer next year.
Cool.
There is a design out there of what you're going to do, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
There was some initial design, but we had to actually punt on that. We took that to Eureka code authorities, and it was actually still in the floodplain, so it had to be moved to a different.
Right, that's what I mean. Where the existing weight room is, to the north of that's where you're going to build a double-story something or other, is that right?
I want to clarify too, though, just to be clear, and Tim, tell me if I'm wrong on this, it's 100 feet beyond the floodplain, right?
Yes,
It's not in the floodplain.
I understood, or maybe I misinterpreted your question. I thought you were saying that we've had a long-standing design for that building, and that long-standing design was on the south side of would be the south west side of the building.
That was,
we
yes.
did move it now to more of a middle west.
Right. Yeah,
and it is about in the area where the current locker room is.
Yes, I talked to Coach Cleveland, and he sort of mentioned that a lot of that stuff was shifting to the north because of the floodplain.
Right.
Which we didn't even know there was a floodplain there, did we?
Well, again, we knew the floodplain was there, and there's some things that are grandfathered, if I understand it right. But new construction, the ruling now is you can't be within 100 feet of that floodplain. So we currently have things, part of our football field is within 100 feet of that floodplain, but we can't do new construction. So, but we actually think the three of us agree that what we're seeing now with the early designs, it's a blessing. We really like what we're seeing, and so do the Eureka folks. And
like I say, have you started sharing it with outside of the school community, with the parents? Have they, because they're a very vocal group that have been looking at this for several years.
You mean the designs?
The design, yes.
The designs will be available once we get through this process that we're involving a lot of staff members, and we're trying to tie out some of the maintenance objectives to make sure that our current district standards are included, and then those designs will be available, and we'll be going out to bid here soon.
And what's important to understand too is that the reason we got nervous when we found out about the Eureka not accepting our plans, there isn't much leeway in where we can go.
Right.
And we were real happy with what the architects they've really done about the only thing they can do.
Right.
Outside of doing something drastically different and outside of the scope, which would not be a good thing for budget purposes. So we're just really pleased, and I can't fathom that anybody that's ever been involved is going to be upset with this design. It's going to be
the other
very
thing that we're doing is we're going to bid the base package, and then we're going to have some alternates. And so what the final project is will be based on some of the bids that we get back. So we're looking at both base and an alternate. You want the second one? Okay, the second one is some port extenders. They're basically some additional equipment in order for us to hook up the cameras. We had some money in the budget for cameras. I think this specifically is going to be in the athletic areas where we hadn't really had cameras in the past, and so we're positioning cameras in those areas, and we need some. At a previous board meeting, you approved the cameras, and now we've got the port extender, so we'll be able to go ahead and get those installed.
This is only at the high school, so I see that. Do you have plans to do it at the middle schools and the elementary schools, or?
We do have additional camera money that can be used at other locations. So far, that hasn't been identified where that'll go. It's a limited amount of money, but this is an area we already have cameras at all of our facilities. Right. So, but one thing we didn't really have much coverage over our athletic facilities, and frankly, it is an area that probably needs to be monitored. I mean, there could be injuries out there. There could be some vandalism, all kinds of things that could happen, and we need to have some video surveillance on those areas.
They're the most highly utilized, and for all the reasons Tim mentions, and I hate to even bring it up because I like to stay positive, but we have had some vandalism in recent years in the high school stadium areas. So hopefully that'll be a deterrent, and hopefully we'll never know if that helped, but if we just don't have any vandalism, that will definitely be a good thing.
And we're going to be using those fields so much more now. I mean, they're already being used extensively, so there will be a lot more activity, so it's important for us to have surveillance.
Vandalism at our schools has been relatively low compared to other districts, though, isn't it? Or did I just imagine that?
I think every district and every high school gets its fair share. It comes in waves, and it's not a regular occurrence for us. That's a good thing. I think some districts it's more of a sometimes prank related, and so it's a regular occurrence. We don't have regular occurrences. We've had a few in recent years.
Any other questions or comments? All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the bond issue purchases that were just described. All those in favor say yes.
Aye.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. That passes. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. The next item, I think Mr. Mike Stephanie is going to join us. The 8.09 is a request for Babbler Outdoor Educational Center custodial support. And I need a motion to approve a part-time Babbler Outdoor Education Center custodial support technician, try saying that, position for the community education department.
So move.
Got the motion?
Second.
And a second. Welcome, Mike.
Good evening, thanks for your time. I don't have a whole lot to add other than what was in the agenda item for tonight, but if you have any questions, I'm certainly happy to answer them.
Like I said, this is a custodial help. It's going to be paid for through the funds of the community education.
That's right, there will be no impact on the district operating budget.
So is this like in addition to somebody you already have there, or you?
No, actually, with some of the restructuring that has happened in the custodial department, we were utilizing some folks out of the sub pool. Now that those assignments are no longer available, excuse me, the need for the support still exists. And so, working with Human Resources, we've identified this job description, which is a little bit more than a normal custodian, because out at the park we have a little bit more need for, I'll call it general maintenance, but it's certainly not what you would consider a maintenance position here in the district, kind of somewhere in between that. And so this kind of is the hybrid between the two, and it allows us to kind of continue functioning. In fact, the timing of it's pretty important, because just, I think next week we're starting 6th grade camp, so we're going to have lots of folks coming in and going to need some help with custodial support over the next several months.
How was that done before, Mike? Was it just a custodian from a school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, working with facilities, they identified someone who could come down and provide support, but with the changes in the restructuring out of the sub-custodial pool, that assignment's no longer available. So this is the way for us to move forward and still be able to have that coverage.
No, it's not directly on topic, but since I got you here. How did it go with the Adventure Club editions this year? Everything go smoothly?
Yes, I think, yeah.
Next year.
Oh, next year?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were just talking about the general hiring that we do every year for Adventure Club, and I think that's going well. The other 9 sites will be next fall.
Next fall, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That shows what I know. All right, any other comments about the approving of the custodial position? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Great, thank you very much. That passes. Coming down to the end here, we have a Board of Education retreat coming up. Vice President Mon is going to talk about that.
So Gretchen is putting on the screen right now.
No, I think
The attachment? Yeah.
Somebody.
Debbie.
Oh yeah, Debbie, not Gretchen. Gretchen put it on board docs. Thank you, Gretchen.
You're welcome.
So no one has contacted me except Mrs. Bays is hoping we have a discussion about, it's taking a while, discussion about the possibility, Mrs. Bays, you can say what you're hoping to add to the agenda.
I just brought up a question about location of our board meetings and whether or not there's validity in moving around different quadrants of our district so that we could appeal to different parts of our community and be more visible in other areas. I think that it's come up in the past, so I was just throwing it out there as a question of whether or not we should chat about it again.
It's a valid question. It has come up before, and it doesn't mean we have to do what previous boards have done. There's positive and negative to that, and I guess we won't go into that right now, but let's put that on the agenda for that night, and let's go through it.
It's always a good conversation to have, regardless. All districts have gone through that, but it's good for that retreat, good topic.
And I would think, if you look under 9, talking about the COPE committee, we don't really have a COPE committee anymore. Isn't that a general feeling that we haven't met for a long time? So I mean, that could theoretically be taken off unless we want to discuss whether or not. Of course, it's also a communication plan on there too, so.
Leave it on there right now, and we can discuss and decide whether, if we consciously decide that it's not something we should move forward to, let's do that on purpose. If we decide that it is or isn't, let's.
Yeah, we have members. Rob and I have been waiting on you to call a meeting, but you haven't called a meeting.
Everything falls on me. All right. So anything else?
Under number 7 is that we're going to put the discussion of location.
I would think so.
7.06.
Board of Education meetings.
And we are set for
October
8th. We're discussing recording options again?
Tuesday.
It's a Thursday. This is
Yeah,
a
so
Thursday.
that's what I'm saying. Who said
Thursday,
that?
October 8th.
I did.
You did? Yeah, I think some of those things can be taken off. Recording options for board meetings.
Isn't this a duplicate from,
It's
isn't
that's
this
from
released
last year.
This is last year's.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be on there. I mean, it's just on there
Right.
for us to consider if there's
Right.
anything.
Right, and even seating arrangements set up for board meetings. We had different issues last night,
Yeah.
but different things to discuss last year. So you just want me to take some liberty to take some of these things off, or do you guys want to make suggestions right now on some of those things, like the recording options we can take off, the seating arrangement we can take off?
Well, let's address it. Anybody think we ought to, I mean, we're doing full audio and video recordings of every meeting now. Do we need to discuss that? Leave it the way it is? I think you'd probably take it off.
I think so.
I guess I have not, the audio record, we have an audio recording and a video recording.
Okay.
And we've been doing both. Tonight I did not do the audio.
Yeah, and that was some concern last year, whether or
It
not
was a
we should
concern.
bump it up and do something more. So that's why that was on there from last year. So we could probably take that off. Gretchen, if you want to take that off. 703 seating arrangements set up for board meetings. I mean, that was another thing we had talked about as well, but are you guys good taking that off? I mean, are we all happy? I'm happy.
That maybe segues into Jamie's
right.
topic of
Okay,
setup
so
for
leave that
board
on there.
meetings, location for board meetings.
All right, well, why don't we just leave everything on there and why don't we just not make any changes?
You look at number
Just
6.
everything I'm saying, you're all striking. No, I'm just kidding.
You look at number 6.
Those are
We went
important
through
things.
601, the CSIP goal in governance, because we were
Yep.
doing CSIP last year.
But we still should review that and talk about it because that's still important, right?
Board of Education Award, we've decided.
That was
that's-
just my harebrained idea because we went to the, not harebrained idea, but we went to the conference and I thought, hey, we can do that. And then we just decided we don't need to do that.
Why don't we leave
because-
them on, as you said, leave them on.
Okay, let's
You
leave them
said, well,
on and move on. Okay, leave them on.
Leave them on there
Yes.
and we can
What
just.
about, I know last year, Dr. Knost did the superintendent, it was a questionnaire you sent out, and then I discussed a little bit, like, if there's any way we could get the pulse of, like, the board, like a board questionnaire sent out to see what we could do, you know, better,
That's
or...
a good topic. That's a good topic.
So that would be under community.
Or we could replace one that we're removing, or something, I don't
It
know.
would probably be,
Processes.
Board relations, I don't know.
I'm thinking even under 9. Gulf Community Communications Plan.
Yeah,
Let's list
communications
communications with the community, because on there is board listening time, we don't do that. Community conversations, we don't do that, you do your own deal now. So
Right.
maybe putting it on there, Gretchen.
As 903 or in place of 902?
Place of, well, no, because nobody wants to take 90. Yeah, in place of 902.
in place of 902.
Communications and maybe a possible survey or some sort of survey. Or do something. Tie it into something he does or something the district does. We're just discussing it, okay?
Will you also talk to people about who will make these presentations to the superintendent?
I would think so. We still want to do district finances. That's always a good presentation, right? Sunshine law. Do you guys need brushing up on sunshine law or no? Are we all good with sunshine law?
We had a presentation fairly recently.
I think so. So maybe take the sun, well, okay. go ahead.
I think those were on there because then what we
Uh-huh.
decided, we spread those over the year, didn't co.
You're right.
And we had our attorney do
So it's
sunshine
part of
law,
our
Tim
system.
do finances.
So that was more along the lines of make a list of things we want to talk about.
Last year,
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right.
I'm just-
So actually no presentations that night. Is that good for everyone? Yes? Okay.
So number 10 is the workshops that we want to have.
Yeah, leave those 3 on there. We can
Okay.
discuss it that night if there's more things that, and maybe come to the meeting thinking, this is something I want to brush up on, and we can add it on there that night. Does that work?
So right now, the only thing I'm doing is changing
Communication.
number 902.
Yep.
Okay.
And adding on.
And add the word location
Right.
to.
Which is
under
kind of like the
board
setup for
meetings.
board meetings.
Setup.
You could Put that 703, yeah.
Okay.
Good?
Any other
Good.
discussion on it?
Move it on.
Thanks. Next agenda item is the future agenda presentations and that sort of, that's the one there. I did the proposed agenda for October 15th.
October? Did you say October?
15th.
October 15th.
That's the week after the retreat.
I know. It's October.
Yes, I was pleading.
October here.
This is how it stands right now. If anybody wants to talk about adding or taking something off.
We may have some policy first readings ready at that time. We're targeting them now, so we're hoping to bring them. So that there's a few of those that we may have some first readings on that we've had pins on. We're just in the process of doing that research. So
They're ready for the committee review.
they're ready for the policy review committee, and so we're hoping to have that meeting prior to the October 15th meeting, so we can bring the first readings and add them to this agenda.
Do we have one board meeting in October? Did I see it right?
Yes.
And November.
Plus the
I didn't
retreat.
yeah, November too.
Plus the retreat.
Retreat, the 8th and the 15th.
The 8th and the 15th.
November
And then November 12th.
12th.
All right.
One day after.
Move on to the next one, future agenda presentation and events to attend. Don't forget that we have a tax rate levy hearing scheduled for Tuesday, September 29th. I hope those tend to be fairly brief, but very important, and it has to be right at that time of year to approve it, so we
Tax rate.
end up doing it on an off night, so.
Yes.
Everybody's aware? September 29th?
Oh, I'm sorry, I just had one concern on that. We are aware that 3 board members cannot attend that night, so we need to confirm that the other 4 will be in attendance so that we have a quorum. We need 4 to.
For the tax hearing.
Who
For the
certainly
tax
will be
hearing on
there?
Tuesday,
I'll be there.
September 29th.
Who's certain they will be there?
They will be there.
Okay, and Herman, will you be
Tuesday,
there?
September 29th.
Tuesday, September
I think
29th.
I'm okay. Let me look.
Okay, you need to confirm that, so we'll wait just a minute. Thank you.
Or we have to have 4.
We can't move it very far, but we could probably move it a day or something, if that changes things.
It has to be kind of
Yeah, we need to have that night if all possible.
Yeah, because Tim Rooney's class is going to be here observing you guys.
Herman is a yes.
Yeah, 6 o'clock.
So if any of the 4 of us that plan to be there find they can't be, we need to know that
We need to know
as
it
quickly as we
ASAP.
can. So,
Is that 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock. Here.
Right here.
Right here.
I have it here.
all right, other events that are going to come up. We heard about Friday Night Lights on September 25th in Eureka. That's a great program that's going on. We also heard about the dedication tomorrow at 10 a.m. of the Rockwood radio station, Rockwood Summit radio station. Anybody have any others to?
Formal dedication on the 25th at Rockwood Summit for their football field.
For
Or
the football
activities
field?
field.
Tomorrow night's, we're at Lafayette High School,
Can I have dedication there?
football game. Yeah, I don't know what dedication you're doing, but it's, or am I wrong, Tim?
We haven't heard
Tomorrow
about
night?
it.
tomorrow night's Lafayette. And then, did you say tomorrow night's 7 o'clock?
No.
No.
Someone said
Tonight,
25th.
just to be clear, tonight Rockwood Summit had a soccer game, and so it's the first thing on the field. They're doing a dedication tonight. We couldn't be there because of a board meeting.
They're winning though, 1-0.
There you go. So they're gonna repeat that at Summit at the homecoming game. But tomorrow night is Lafayette High School, I believe playing Melville tomorrow night at Lafayette. So that's the first football game on the field tomorrow. Yes.
Are there any other final comments or things to talk about? And we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.